All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Word with Ty Brownlow. I'm your host, Ty Brownlow, and remember, no one is worthless, no story is worthless. As you can see, the person next to me here, Miss Dyon Harris, you may remember her. Man, she was on at the beginning of the year. I brought her back, but let me give you her accolades and let me refresh you all. Ms. Dyon Harris, who's a licensed clinical social worker, okay? She also does individual, marriage, family, and therapy as well. And she has over 10 years of service as well. And she does service here in Illinois, Washington, and California.
That's correct.
All right, come on now. All right. Woo. But how are you? Thank you.
Good evening, Ty. Thank you for having me back. I've been doing well, trying to assist in positive life changes where I can. So it's nice to be back. Thank you for thinking of me.
No problem at all, man. Look, I am so glad to have you because the name of this segment of my show is going to be Love and Computers.
Well, 2023.
The bad, the ugly. Yes, 2023. Computer. There you go. Mm-hmm. Look here. We talking about relationships, okay? And since we live in this digital age, I mean, why not start with what we see every day, social media, reality shows, podcasts. We're going to be talking about all that and how that affects most of us in our day-to-day lives because we do live in a digital age and these are most of the main methods that we use for communication. So, first and foremost, I'm going to get into the good, okay? Because we got to start with the good now. Come on now, all right? You know, we going to build that suspense, but I'm going to start with the good. So, Miss Dyon Harris, yes. I'm talking about young friendships, and when I say young friendships, maybe those maybe those who are in high school, leaving high school, going into college, maybe those who are in college, transitioning. But when we look at social media, especially for younger people, and it's a major influence. Younger people want to be doing it. They want that bag. They want it quick. They want it now. This, that, what have you. How can that, affect, those who maybe have been friends with them in the past or friends with them still, but maybe not doing so well in life right now?
Okay, so are you sharing that one is progressing and the other one is not, or are you expressing that two different people are maybe at two different stages in life, and how can that affect the friendship?
Well, I will go with how two people are at two different stages of life and how can that affect the friendship.
Oh, yeah. So that can definitely affect it in a major way because honestly, individuals do have expectations on their friends too. And we see it on social media. I think there was a post maybe a year or so ago, these are the only people that I want around me. If you're not doing this, then you're not doing anything. And that can really impact friendships in a negative way because different people can contribute to your life very differently. And I think that making space for that can be helpful, especially for somebody who may just be getting ready to leave home, but they see these different things on the internet because they are being influenced. And so the takeaway from that is recognizing that different people can contribute to your life differently. But if you find yourself in a space where it feels like somebody may be taking more than they're contributing, then that may be something to consider regarding moving forward with the friendship. But I don't encourage individuals to compare it to what it looks like online. I need my dream team behind me and everybody got to have these matching bags and matching heels because that's very misleading. Not that there's an issue with that, but it can be misleading for people who feel like, well, I can't support you financially, but I can support you emotionally. I can make sure, you up early in the morning on your commute to work, and I can help you process that breakup with the ex. So it's not interfering with your exam you got going on next week. So different people can support you differently, and understanding that for yourself, I think would be really, really helpful. And that's what I would encourage young individuals to consider. How am I showing up in their lives and how are they showing up in mine? Is this in alignment with where I'm going? And it's not just about the finances and the aesthetic. It's kind of what we're seeing in 2023.
Okay, so let's just state it. Oh, man, look here now. look, you already know she coming in with a whoa, look, listen, let's just stay here. And especially for younger people, especially for that like college influence, because we look on social media, oh man, look, I have to be dressed to the nine, if I'm going to these certain schools, even if I'm not going to, these certain schools, I have to, pretend, or I have to allude as if I'm doing other things than just being a student, because just being a student, who wants to do that? Dyon, that's so mid, as the kids say, like, oh, go to class, that's so mid. I don't want to do that. I want to be out here pulling up the class in my like Lambo, you know what I'm saying?
Ferrari with my matching heels, hair and this and that, and so many, and people lose themselves there. People really can lose themselves in an image, and it's unfortunate. But we do see it in like teenagers, young adults, older adults too. So to thyself be true, right? So staying true to what really matters to you is going to be so helpful. Like, it's so easy to get lost out here. So easy, like that.
Well, and that's why it's very important, and I'm just stressing this, that I feel all young people should start to understand the value of what true friendship is. As you graduate high school, if you're entering college, fine. If you're not, if you're getting out here into the real world and you're working, fine. But you have to start to understand what true friendship is, and what really being a true friend is, and how you contribute to that, and what you expect back as well. So
agreed, wholeheartedly, for sure. Making space for that, right? Everybody, it's okay if you want to be a pilot and your friend wants to work at a theater. It's okay. Like, it doesn't make them less of a friend or less of a person, because the aspirations are different. It's okay to have different aspirations.
Right. Come on now. See, come on now. I mean, look at it. Everybody's not going to be a doctor. Everyone's not going to be lawyered up. Everyone's not going to be doing all these things. Everyone's not going to be businessmen. Sometimes you're going to have friends, as you said, hey, I may work in a movie theater for right now, because right now I don't know where I really want to be. I may hang out with people who may have it together, but that's just the illusion they may portray. They're just, giving you that. So to all my young people out there entering college and in college, man, hold your head up tight. Sometimes you don't have to follow the circle, build your own trail. All right. Okay. Now, that was considered the good. So, we about to move on to the bad and the ugly. Okay. So now this could be considered ugly, but we're talking about social media as well. But I want to talk about when growth slows one partner down because of the other partner. Okay. So I will give a scenario to you, and maybe you can add on a solution after words or what have you. But I know a person who wants to go back to school, and they want to get their degree because they not only want to move up in their career in the field that they're in, but that's just something that they've always wanted to do. But getting this degree will add more to that. Their partner doesn't see the value of that. Their partner doesn't understand that, well, why would you take your time and resources, and put it all into that when we can do other things as well? We can probably start a business or take more trips, something other words than, one person trying to better themselves. So the person who wants to go back to school finds themselves, sort of like teetering, like, okay, like some days, I like the person I'm with. Some days I don't like the person I'm with, which is understandable. But I just want to ask, like, in your opinion, like, what can you share, with people or anyone who may find themselves in that situation, man or female, who may find themselves in a situation where they just want to better themselves and the other person's just not they're just not either they're not into it, or they just talk it down. So I'm sorry, can you just share a little bit of that, please?
Of course, I do have quite a bit of experience in working with couples, so the scenario is not unfamiliar at all, where it feels like two individuals at one point, maybe they were on the same page, and then it may start to feel like at some point they just get on different pages for one reason or another. And a lot of people may really want to side with the person who is interested in bettering themselves and say, well, the other person, what are they thinking? Why wouldn't they want their spouse to better themselves? And it can be really quick to choose sides in a situation like that. But I'm not here to choose sides. I want individuals to consider, what's effective and progressive. And in order for us to do that, we have to make space for differences. That's a non-negotiable. Does it make sense to me why someone wants to go back to school and better themselves? Yes. Does it make sense to me also why somebody else may have a different vision for the family? Yes, it does. Is this about, well, who is right and who is wrong? No, it's not. Sometimes individuals feel like agreement is required for validation, and that's not always true. I don't have to agree with you to say, you know what, I felt like we could do something different, but I also understand your interest in furthering your education. I also understand your drive. I also understand your motivation. So I do encourage couples to validate their partners, because there is no partnership without a partner, right? We need the partner to have a partnership. And sometimes the absence of validation at a minimum can feel like we don't have a partner, right? So there's that piece, being supportive, validating, even if you don't fully agree. But again, going back to the piece where we make space for differences, because that is okay to say, you know what? You prefer to go in this direction. This is what I was thinking for the family. How can we move forward where both of us feel supported? Well, I feel like, yes, you're going back to school, but I can still be connected to you, where I'm not feeling insecure about you surpassing me, or now I feel like I have to take care of the children by myself because you're going back to school and now I don't have you. Your education has you, right? So there's a lot of things to consider there. But one of the big things I do encourage couples to consider is, how can we make space and move forward in ways that are effective and progressive for the both of us? Do you have space within you to take that approach to problem solving? Because again, the other person who may have a different vision for the family, there may be reasons behind that. And let's address those concerns instead of making it look like, well, you're wrong and you never want me to grow and you're just like, your parents, and, all the things that come up when people feel invalidated and unsupported. But again, creating a plan that allows both individuals to feel heard and understood, and moving forward from there in ways that are effective and progressive, because it is difficult, right? Both people feel like they're right. So really stepping away from that who's right and who's wrong to, if this is your vision for us as a family and this is my vision, is there any way that we can combine these visions to where you feel heard and I feel heard too?
So look, okay. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Dr. Freedom Brimburn. But she came up with this concept called, well, I don't know if she came up with it, but I know she talked about emotional prenups. And prior to, signing like a prenup, if you want to sign a prenup, but an emotional prenup talks about exactly what you just said. Like, okay, like if we have these tough moments and these tough conversations that come about, how can we do so? Do we promise to, make sure that, hey, I fulfill my end of what I need to fulfill, maybe then some, and you do as well? And, that's something that they both sign, and it's a contract, just like, marriage license as well. So I do. Yeah. Okay.
And to be honest with you, Ty, a lot of times individuals really underestimate the ability to adjust as a couple and to validate the other person. For me, that's one of the biggest things that I've seen when it comes to couples is, what is the couple's ability to adjust? Because that's like sometimes a really big indicator for the longevity or success, if we're measuring success by longevity of a couple. Can they adjust to a person going back to school? Can they adjust to a parent getting sick? Can they adjust to a new baby? What happens between their dynamic when a change comes about? How do they adjust? can they keep the emotional safety intact? You mentioned the emotional piece, and that's really important, that it's not always considered.
Yeah. And that's a big part, because it's like you're like dealing in, emotions that could be up and down. So at one moment while you're explaining, well, hey, this is what I, want to do, this, that, or what have you, in that moment, the person can, be like, oh, okay, well, you know what? I'm happy that you figured out, what it is that you may have wanted to do, but maybe in another 5 or 10 minutes, like, oh, well, no, this is going to affect X, Y, Z. And I don't know if this, that might not be, that might not be such a good plan as you may think because of these factors or what have you. So, emotions can go, man, up, down, or what have you. So, like I call it the tuning fork theory, like if you have a tuning fork, in order to get on that frequency, that vibe, you have to have the exact type of, the same type of tuning fork, because if I have a huge tuning fork and you come in here with this little small tuning fork, it's not going to be on the same vibration.
Yeah.
So you have to work to get to the same vibration. So
adjusting, how can we adjust that tune so that we are on the same frequency? Can we do that? Do we have the capacity in a relationship to adjust so that we are in the same frequency? That's a non-negotiable.
Come on now. Cool. Look at Dyon dropping them nuggets. Okay. All right. So this brings us to the ugly. And y'all are like, what can be uglier than that? I don't understand. What can be uglier than that? Y'all already know what the ugly is because y'all watch it every single day. So look, I'm just gonna give it to y'all, and y'all know I don't really do this mess, but I gotta, man, this is part of the good, bad, the ugly. So when it comes to social media and relationships, okay, we have seen in the past couple of months, there have been certain like things on social media that has got people talking, especially in the African American communities, especially about relationships. And I'll just name a few. But the main one, we're talking about Keke Palmer and Usher. And for those of you who may have been hiding under a rock, Keke Palmer went to Vegas to go see Usher. And Keke Palmer's boyfriend, I don't believe they're married. I do believe that's her boyfriend and the father of her child, tweeted out he basically tweeted out his feelings on social media. And I hate to say this, but he was skinned alive for it. And it really got me to thinking, in this day and age, is that something that maybe he could have kept to himself at that point in time? Maybe. But also at the same time, does he not have the right to feel the way he feels? I mean, true, I know it's social media, but does he not have that right to feel how he feels? Okay. So that's one. Hold on. Okay. All right. And the other is the ice cream date. And for those of you who are not familiar with this, on social media, and I seen this on Twitter, a young man and young woman were supposed to get together to go out on a date. And the man, he didn't want to come off as, all pushy or what have you. So he agreed to meet out somewhere. And instead of doing, the dinner thing up front, foremost, he had proposed ice cream. It was a hot day. He was proposing ice cream as a way for them to meet each other, probably get to know each other. And then who knows, maybe after that, maybe dinner will, come after that or what have you. But the response of the young woman was, well, yeah, that sounds nice and all, but I don't really want to go out on an ice cream date. I mean, I don't have time for that. I'm trying to, do other things in life besides go out on ice cream dates. When you're serious about dating, then, maybe you can come back and we can see, what may happen. But the guy wasn't rude about it. He was like, okay, cool. And he kept it moving. So I use those examples, all right, Dyon, because we live in this day and age. Social media is talking, you know, especially about the Kiki and Usher thing. And I'm just going to bring it back to the original question, you know, is displaying your emotions on social media a bad thing?
So that's tricky, right? Because with the public, when the public loves it, the public loves it. They eat it up, they put their bib on, they digest it, they sleep on it at night, they love it, they share it, they tell all their friends about it.
Right.
When the public dislikes it, they dislike it, right? So if they don't agree with you, again, you are going to be skinned alive, right? And so is it a good thing or a bad thing for individuals to post socially to the public, you know, about how it is that they're feeling? Now, again, is this good or bad? This is something that I can't say whether or not to judge, oh, this is a great thing or this is a terrible thing, because I've seen wonderful things come from social media. And one of the things I realized about social media is that it does not change, it reveals. So, and what I mean by change versus reveals is that, you know, somebody mentioned, well, he could have just had that conversation privately. That's true. But when they were posting pictures of their children, they could have done that privately. It was no problem. When they were posting their dates, you know, everybody was, you know, eating it up and it was okay. So again, I'm not going to judge and say, well, that's wrong or that's inappropriate. I will encourage individuals to consider the intention behind what it is that they're doing, you know, and that's just across the board. What's the intention of sharing pictures of your family? What's the intentions of those quotes? What's the intention behind those songs? What's the intention behind shaming your parents on social media? What's the intention behind blasting your spouse on social media? What is the intention behind why you're showing up, how you're showing up to the world? Because this is a platform, and we realize that we have a lot of influencers. We don't have a whole lot of leaders, but that's a separate conversation for a separate time. So I would just encourage individuals to consider the intention behind why they're doing what they're doing. And I'm not here to judge and say, oh no, you shouldn't post the twerking videos or certain outfits, because some people feel connected when they do that. Some people feel validated, you know. Some people are looking for feedback to say, you know, was I right or was I wrong? And it's not, and social media is a voice, if that makes sense. So it's not for me to say, this is how you should use your voice and this is how you shouldn't use your voice. I can decide whether or not I want to listen. And I understand that social media works on algorithms. So we see a lot of, you know, individuals with mics and podcasts, and we're seeing the same thing because of the algorithm. There's also opportunities for wonderful things, wonderful messages, ideas, recipes, you know, a host of different things. So it's a voice. We can decide what we want to tune into and what we want to tune out. So that part is up to us. So do people have the right to shout on or express themselves on social media? You know, that's totally up to them. My suggestion is, what is the intention behind how you're showing up online? And if you can be okay with that at night, then, you know, that's a decision that you have to rest well with. And if there's something that you feel like could be different about that, then maybe we want to make some changes with that, because it's not just you in a mirror. It's not you in a journal. It's you and anybody who has access to what you're sharing. They're listening to you with their eyes, if that makes sense, in seconds. So that's just something to think about. Now with, you know, the Keke Palmer situation and her boyfriend, was it appropriate for him to do that? I can't say. Was it effective and progressive for them as a couple? Only they know that. Only they know whether or not that brought them closer together or pulled them further apart. I can't speak to that.
Well, you know what? I'll just say this, you know, as a person who's married, I know, and you talk about intention. I know when I post pictures of my wife, and sometimes I may post pictures of my wife by herself. Sometimes I may post pictures of my wife with she and I together, you know, as well. But for me, my intention is about love, black love for the woman. You know, black woman, that is, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, the rest of y'all cool too. I mean, but I'm just saying, you know, I mean, you know, let's just get it straight. But anyway, but no. So those are my intentions, you know, and you are correct. Sometimes everything is done with a purpose, whether it's subconscious or, consciously, it's all done with a purpose. So, all right. Okay. So
that's what I said. And I know so many opinions have came in about that, like, well, no, he was wrong, or no, she was wrong. And it's like, I'm not sure his intention or her intention, or if that brought them closer or pulled them further. And that's the part that I'm curious about. How did this impact them? Because it's their voice. It's not mine for me to say or share, but couples share. Was it effective and progressive? It may be effective and progressive for you to post your wife and post you both together and promote Black love because that's your intention.
Right.
So, it's effective and progressive to do that. And some things aren't and some things are. So definitely encourage people to be honest about that.
Be honest and upfront, people. Come on now, because as you said, it's just not you and the other person. In this instance, I mean, we're talking about a child. Yes, it's a child, but I mean, children grow up, and you have to like share values, with your child. So what they may do in one house, they may not do in another house. So, they have to deal with that. So come on, people, let's get it together. All right. So now the other instance with the ice cream date. So now with that, as I said, social media and how it has shaped the minds, especially the minds of younger folks, like the young 20, the 25-year-olds, maybe like the 30-year-olds or what have you. Their minds are shaped by social media. They've like grown up with this. As I said, the reality shows, the podcasts, Twitter, IG, all these other things, spell, whatever,
Oh gosh, yeah.
Right, like they have all these concepts. So now we're talking about, okay, a man who wants to take a woman out to get to know her, maybe that will lead to them dating, which may lead to something else. But he offers up ice cream as a social, I guess as a social gesture, he offers ice cream that they meet up. Ice cream wasn't on her agenda. She's a woman about other things or what have you. And she denied him. And she basically let him know that, hey, that's just not what I'm looking for. So in this day and age, like, I know they talk a lot about chivalry being dead, don't marry for love and all these other things that they're throwing out here or what have you. But in situations like that, how can, people really, like, I guess, try to find a connection sometimes? Because as I said, he's offering up ice cream as a way to be social. He doesn't even know what he wants to do, and he doesn't know if he's going to like her or she's going to like him or what have you, but he's just trying to like use this as a tool to pretty much get to know her, but she's just rejecting that. When you have things like that happen to you, and it's probably not the first time that has happened, like how can you still like, continue on to like believe in the concept of trying to find someone naturally through computers?
Computer love. Okay.
That's what it is. Computer love. Hey, do it.
Back there, right?
Hey.
So that can be tricky because one of the things I'm getting from you, Ty, is that you are acknowledging that there are many factors, right? And I'm not familiar with the two individuals, so I don't know like their age or demographics right. and things like that. So let's just say it is a younger couple who is being heavily influenced by social media. There's so many ideas out there, and I am going to answer the question about, well, how do they pretty much kind of keep an open mind and an open heart with so many different things, so many different factors that have the potential to deter them. So going back to understanding the influences, I saw something similar about how, women take hours to get ready, and like, why would they take 2 hours to get ready to go on a date that's only going to last 5 minutes or so, something like that. Like, pretty much the input is not worth the outcome. The risk is not worth the benefit. So people kind of take that cost benefit analysis when it comes to dating, and that can interfere with a more organic perspective. Because one of the things I've come to realize in working with couples and families is that one is not always indicative of the other. So just because somebody spends, $5,000 is not on a first date, is not a clear indicator that they're serious about you. Just because the first date is $10 is not an indicator that they're not serious about you. It's not an indicator that they're not gonna be willing to invest in you. So that brings me back to the intention. Okay, you propose an ice cream date. What's the intention behind this date? What are you looking for? What, X, Y, and Z. Oh, you prefer a more elaborate date. Okay, I'm curious. What's the intention behind that desire? Do you have an idea of what's the intention behind that desire? Is that how you feel most cared for, through gift giving and acts of service? I'm going to bring a lot of things back to what is the intention behind why you are showing up, how you're showing up. And if you are unclear or uncertain about it, it is okay to ask, I'm curious. I usually don't go on ice cream dates, but what is your intention behind taking me here? And he may say, you know what? Well, I just wanted to get to know you undivided. I mean, we could go to all these different places, but, just wanted to get to know you and see if we even connect in any way. And that would be okay. But it's also okay for her to say, you know what, this feels out of alignment with me. Actually, I'm lactose intolerant and, I'm going to get it. So I prefer to do something different later in the evening that, will help me to feel X, Y, and Z. So what is the intention is more important than, well, is this right or is this wrong? Because again, we have so many messages out there saying, don't let no man take you on a coffee date, don't do anything on the first night. And there is no secret formula, guys. I am here to tell you, if I've told you nothing else, Ty, there is no secret formula. You can wait, you can spend the money, you can do everything right. You can get the dog, the house, the boy and the girl, and things still may not go the way that you prefer them to, because one is not always indicative of the other. So that's something to come back to attention. Now, how does someone keep an open mind and an open heart to thyself be true, right? So if you feel like you're open to connecting with someone over coffee or ice cream, and you know that you love coffee, getting up in the morning, going for a jog, I encourage individuals to stay true to that part of you, because it can be easy to say, well, social media said maybe if I take her to a 5-star restaurant, she'll like me more. Or social media says maybe if I wear more makeup, he'll like me more. Or maybe if I dress a certain way, I'll, attract the right man, or go to these certain spots. So again, there's a lot of influence out there, right? That's why it's called social influencer. It's a lot of influence out there. So what resonates with you? That is the compass back to self if you're ever lost. So I'm going to always encourage individuals to, again, if you're the ice cream guy who just wants a nice lady to chat with for a few hours, continue with that approach. If you're the woman who, wants the 5-star dine-in, continue with that approach, because there's somebody, it's a frequency. Somebody's going to tune in and dig you. Like, you don't have to change the radio, looking for X, Y, and Z. Just stay on your frequency. Somebody's going to find it and like it. That's what I'd say to that.
Well, no. So let me just say this, I term that to be pockets versus prosperity. Okay. Or you can flip it, prosperity versus pockets. It really doesn't matter. Like, it all depends on how you look at the situation. Which one do you value? Which one is it? Is it really about, hey, us having, wealth or whatever, and like showing out on like the gram and all this and taking these trips and just like flashing this, that, or whatever? Or is it really about, me getting to know you, you getting to know me, we have something natural, organic, and we just out here just being us without all that other stuff, or with it, So it really doesn't, it really determines how, you flip it. And I just want to say, thank you for using cost benefit analysis, I see like that, like grad school is like showing up in there somewhere, because I'm learning that in grad school as well. So.
Yeah. People take a good approach to dating, Ty. Like, is this going to be worth it, right? If I'm putting on, if I'm putting on $200 worth of makeup to go sit with you for, 20 minutes, is it going to be worth that? And so it can get really tricky. Again, values. What is it that you value? What is it that you're hoping for? What is your intention? Do you feel like inadequate if I take you to get ice cream? Do you feel like you mean more to me if I spend more money on you? You know, what is going on there? There's a lot of things that feed those beliefs. So yes, cost benefit analysis is showing up a lot in this dating world.
Oh man, look at it. I mean, it's a business, y'all. It's a business. And, let's just look at it like this, social media makes its money off like whatever, like the hot emotion is at this point in time, So if like, hey, if these types of behaviors are like what's selling, okay, well, yeah, let's push this forward. Let's push this narrative forward, so we can get what we can. But like you said, man, cost benefit analysis. Like, hey, is it worth me doing all this for this amount of time? What am I looking to get out of it? What's the intention? I have to be intentional. And sometimes I think that by itself, could either make or break a person, having that intention, because some people are put off by that. Like, oh, well, hey, that's what you're looking for? Nope, I'm good. You're looking to get married? Oh, okay. You're looking to be in a relationship? Or what? You're looking to have kids? Oh no, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? So that intention, but if you know what it is that you want, as you said, you keep trudging forward, and eventually, man, what's for you will be for you.
Oh yeah, and it's not going to change. And that's how I think that's a good way to kind of determine that. And say, well, my intention is just to have a good time. There's people looking to have a good time. My intention is to get married. There's people looking to get married. And going back to what you said about social media, I do just want to remind individuals about the algorithm, because there is an algorithm. So if you like, 3 videos of, let's just say, I don't know, ducks crossing the street, the internet says, oh, she loves videos of ducks crossing the street. It's going to keep showing you those videos. If you like videos of, how to keep the woman, it's going to keep showing you those same videos. If you like the drama filled this and that, it's like a machine. It'll keep feeding you. Like, it's not going to grow if it's not being fed. So that's the algorithm. It's like, give them more of what they want. And you mentioned the hot emotion. So if you click on that video, it will continue to show you 50 more. And something that could be an opportunity, like this is an opportunity for you to learn how to communicate better. You can look at so many things on social media. But again, people, I just guess, gravitate towards what is familiar with them. So it makes it easier to create the algorithm. Because again, social media can be an opportunity to learn something different, to look up different communication styles, different patterns of thinking, different ways to cope, different recipes, different party ideas, how to build a house, how to fix a flat. Like, there's so many things that you can look at, but people gravitate towards what's familiar. That feeds the algorithm, and that just keeps reiterating the same message, if that makes sense what I'm saying.
Oh no, I know exactly what you're saying. And bottom line is, people, we got to get out the comfort stage. If we say we want more out of life, okay, then why don't we pivot towards like getting that out of life, instead of settling for what we find familiar, because I don't have to work hard or what have you. I can predict what's going to happen, ABC, and that's comfortable for me. Actually working on something else would require me to change, and for me to transform to something different. And sometimes people they're just not ready for that, and it starts with, man, it all starts with you.
Great. Wholeheartedly agree. There's so many opportunities. It's interesting. And then, it's confirmation too, right? Like, you see somebody that thinks what you're thinking, and it's like, I know it, men are cheap. I know it. Then you see another video, and it's like, it confirms what you're thinking, I know it. They're confirming it too. And it just continues, and the algorithm, it doesn't change. So that's just something to think about when it comes to influence. What is influence in how I'm showing up in my dating life? What is influence in how I'm showing up in my relationships? What is influence in how I'm showing up?
How am I showing up? Okay, come on now. Look, you better appreciate these people. So look, if people want to, get in contact with you, they want your services, or maybe follow you on social media, how can they do so?
So you can Follow me on social media on Instagram at Dyon, Dyon _solar, SOLAR. And you can find my website, Dyon, Dyon solar, SOLAR.com. I have bookings there for therapy appointments, workshops posted, blogs posted. Even if you have a quick question you want to reach out to me, find me on social media. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions without taking sides, but encouraging you to illuminate your life and move forward in ways with those you care about that are effective and progressive.
Well, I'm going to be biased, y'all, and I'm just going to say I follow her on social media, so you should follow her too, because she's all about being positive. So yes, I'm going to be biased. Follow her. Go ahead and run them followers up, views up, all that. Okay, all right. But normally, I do what is the one word to best describe you. But since you're already a friend of the show, I will just keep it light and simple and offer, are there any last words, Miss Dyon?
I'll say this. One, thank you again so much for having me. It's always a pleasure. I love what you're doing, love the messages you promote and the opportunities you provide. But for the individuals who are tuning in, again, check in with you. That's it. There's a lot of stuff in here. You're going to go a lot of places, see a lot of people, hear a lot of feedback. Do this, don't do that. Some things resonate in your spirit and some don't. And it's up to you to choose that. So that's all I got for you.
Hey, look. Y'all already know how I do. This has been Ty Brownlow. Word with Ty Brownlow. I've been your host, Ty Brownlow. Remember, no one is worthless. No story is worthless. Follow me, all social media platforms at Word with Ty Brownlow. You can go to my website, tybrownlow.com. Get this wonderful conversation because, man, look at it. Y'all already know Dyon done brought these, but look, she done brought the gospel. Okay, so y'all can get this gospel along with other interviews as well. Ms. Dyon Harris, I thank you. We are out. Peace, y'all.